Are you planning to take the June SAT? And if you are looking for types of problems that you potentially could see on the exam, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button because in the next month, we're going to be reviewing a couple of problems that you potentially could see on the exam. If you're looking for additional practice problems, make sure to check out our playlist where we have additional problems listed there as well. Now let's get started. Okay, pause this video and try to attempt to do this problem yourself, and then once you're done, make sure to check the video back around. Okay, so you're probably thinking this is a simple problem. They give you a picture and they tell you, hey, what is the number of solutions? And you're right, it is a simple problem if you know what they're asking. Here's the thing. For the digital SAT, there are a couple of formats that they could give you for this type of problem. One, they can actually give you the graph just like this, or two, they can give you a system of equations, such as y equals 2x plus 3. And then they could say y equals 1/2 x plus 4, something along the lines of y equals mx plus b. And I just want to note that as a disclaimer. Or you could see something like 3 equals 2x plus 4, and then 2 equals 6x plus 3. The goal of this problem is just to show you the different formats that you potentially could see where you can go ahead and directly plug this into Desmos as long as you get into this format. Now, systems of equations has been covered before, so I didn't want to focus on actually solving for this. I just wanted to focus on the trap type of question that you could see. Here's the thing. You could plug it into Desmos, you get three equations, and essentially you have three equations in some format, and you attain something like this, an image. And in the image, you see that there are intersections, but you don't see something like this image on the left, which basically means that you have the three graphs and they're intersecting at the same point. If they're intersecting at the same point, guess what? You have, in fact, attained one solution for this type of problem because all three graphs intersect at that one point if you were to plug this into Desmos. But say we have this problem where you plug it into Desmos and you see, oh my gosh, there are 3 points of intersection. So what does that mean? Well, that means that is there one solution, infinitely many solutions, two solutions? What's going on here? Well, you actually have no solution because here's the thing. All three lines, one, two, and three, do not intersect at a given point. And because of this, they have no solution. Only two of the graphs are intersecting with one another at any given point, and because of this, they technically have no solution. So the answer would be no solution. Now you might be thinking, well, how would it be one solution? Well, if it was one solution, you'd have all three graphs intersecting at one spot. What if it's infinitely many solutions? Okay, so then you would have the same line plugged into Desmos. Basically, they'd be one on top of each other every time you would graph those graphs. And that's how you would get infinitely many solutions. Two solutions would be somehow, some way you would have something like, let's say, this would be really hard. Maybe a parabola of sorts where they're intersecting at 2 points, all three lines. So the goal is how many ever lines you have, they have to intersect simultaneously at a given point to even be considered a solution. So I just wanted to point this out as a trap-based questions that students often get wrong. And they try to place this type of problem somewhere in the middle where you think, okay, I just need to solve this pretty quickly. You go ahead and plug it into Desmos and you see, oh my God, it intersects three times. And then you think, okay, that must mean that there are three solutions. And so just considering what you see here, technically, if it was an open-ended problem, no, it would be zero solutions. There's no solution because it's not intersecting at a given point at the same time simultaneously. So I just want to point that out as a trap answer. I know this seems like an easy question, but students often get this wrong because they take a look at the problem, think that it's three solutions, and it's not really. It's technically no solutions because all three of them are not intersecting at the same point. In the last 6 months, either in the December, March, or May exam, students have reported a very similar type of problem to the problem that you see on your screen here. I think this stumped a lot of students because there was a lot of conversation about what formulas you need to utilize and how to solve for a problem like this. Now, they don't give you an actual physical shape, which seems to be a trend where they describe a shape and then they ask you to try to figure out what's happening inside this problem. So I think they're going to have this type of problem appear in the next exam. Make sure to comment below if you've seen a problem just like this before on your exam, because I'm kind of curious if any other student has seen something like this, as I know the test is very adaptive, especially with the new digital SAT. So they tell you that the large rectangle is divided into smaller rectangles, and each smaller rectangle has a very specific area. So they don't actually give you the shape, but this is my really bad rectangle. And then they say, okay, well, we're divided into 92 smaller rectangles. I'm not actually going to draw it 92, but this is just a visual image. Very bad image, but just to show you what they mean by rectangle. And they say that the area of the large rectangle is this. So remember, area of a rectangle is length times width. So they went ahead and gave you the formula essentially. And they're telling you, hey, what is the value of K? So if we multiply this together, what they're trying to say is the area is essentially, if we take Desmos and multiply these together, it's 46. And then remember, if you have two X's and you multiply them together, that's X squared. So that's the area of this large rectangle here. And then they let you know that they divided it into 92 equivalent smaller rectangles. So 92 similar rectangles. So they cut them up into, think of having a cake and you're cutting it up into even parts. So what essentially happened is you're taking this area and you're dividing it into 92 equal parts. So you can go ahead and just straight up 46 divided by 92, and that gives you zero point 0.5. You keep the x squared. And that is the value of K, which is each smaller rectangle has the value of K. So that's each individual rectangle. And that's what they're asking for. So the value is just going to be A. Here, what trips students is two things. One, they give you two different types of variable. They give you a K and an X. And for some reason, this tricks students into thinking that there's some master plot to make it more complicated. It's not. And then the second thing is they don't actually give you the image, which seems to be a trend where they don't actually physically give you the image, but they give you descriptors for a geometric based problem to try to figure it out. So keep that in mind when solving a problem like this. Okay, let's take a moment and pause to tackle the following problem that you see here. A couple things to note. You could see there's a little caret here. That's to designate the exponent symbol. So technically you have m to x equals n4 to the x. So these are both exponents. So take a moment, pause the video, and try to tackle this problem together. Okay, so they say if m equals 64 and x equals or n equals 4, what is the value of x? So you're left to figure out the exponent. So they're letting you know that they're saying that this is the same thing as 64 parentheses 2 to the x power equals, now n is 4, to the value of 4 to the x powers. So now we want to find the same base. So how I would do it is tackle it noting the powers of 2. So if we say 64, you can plug this into Desmos and realize this is the same thing as 2 to the 6th power. Times 2 equals 4. That's the same thing as saying 2 to the 2nd power. I'm going to change this one as well because I want the same base. So 2 to the 2nd power x. So basically we have the same base right now, which means that we can go ahead and tackle what we have in terms of the exponents. So this is the same thing as saying 2 to the 6 plus x. And where I got that from is because, remember, because I have the same base and we're multiplying, we can go ahead and add these values together. If we were dividing, remember, we would subtract. I'm going to do the same thing for this side. So it's going to be 2, combining these two values together. Noting the parentheses is going to be 2x. So in other words, it's 2 plus 2x. We can go ahead and set these both equal to each other, noting that 6 plus x equals 2 plus 2x, letting go of the base because now the bases are exactly the same, and we can go ahead and solve whatever the exponents are. Subtract 2 from both sides. That is 4 equals, remember that's plus x, I'm going to subtract x on both sides. And 2x minus x is just x, so 4 equals x. So the correct answer is D. So remember here, if you are getting some sort of exponent problem, make sure to tackle it by trying to get the same base. This is not something you can easily plug into Desmos, but once you get the same base, it is easy from there. So just a reminder, looking for the same base is very important, especially when trying to tackle confusing exponent problems based on multiple different constants. So you can see here, there's an x, there's an m, there's an n, there is multiple variables, I should say. And because of this confused students. Before we get started for the next video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe and leave a comment if you want to.
Subscribe, like, check playlists for AP Bio and SAT, and hit the link tree below for free and paid resources.